Hey everybody, coming at you, it's Deep Hero, and welcome back to another episode of Game Talks. And this time we're doing Sonic Battle. Actually, one of the first ever Sonic games I owned in a brief period of time. It's cool, it's fun, it's great. I think it's kind of a diamond in the rough. Alright, so without further ado, let's get into it. It's actually, like I said, it was actually one of the first Sonic games I ever owned. Like the first ever platforming Sonic game I ever owned was Sonic Heroes. The first ever platforming handheld Sonic game I ever played was Sonic Advance 3. That was my brother's. But the first one I ever personally owned for like a handheld was Sonic Battle. Like a little funny story about that. Like I asked my dad when I was a kid to actually get it, Sonic Advance 2 for me, and him being but with a stereotypical adult, he didn't exactly know which one to get, so he got Sonic Battle instead. And I'm just like, oh, this isn't what I wanted, but I wasn't complaining because I got a wonderful experience out of a game that I didn't even intend to play at all. And I'm just like, well, I'm glad I got this instead. Because not that Sonic Advance 2 was bad or anything, but this was something wholly different from the standard platforming Sonic games I would come to know and play over the many years. So at the end of the day, it was a happy accident, and I'm still grateful to it to this day, because as you know, Sonic is a platforming game. Very rarely does it deviate from that. More so now in recent days, but for the most part, it sticks to the whole platforming. Most notably nowadays, the boost to win formula. But back then, this was a nice deviation, which I think a lot of people, at least in my personal opinion, overlook. As this one like site called it a Sega's attempt or almost attempt at Smash Brothers, and I'm just like, wait, what? That was a really weird way of calling it, because how Smash Brothers is, it's like a hodgepodge of different Nintendo franchises, what used to be put into like one game to duke it out. This is all just Sonic. It had no inclination of ever becoming a Sega equivalent to Smash Brothers in any way, shape, or form. So I found that to be really weird, but I looked it up one day and I'm just like, okay, hey, to each their own opinion. But at any rate, on to actually like Sonic Battle in and of itself proper. Like the actual battle arenas are like some not quite like 3D but isometric view of like the whole arena. And the beginning, when you like get in there, it's like three moves you can choose, like a ground move, an area move, and some kind of bomb move that you can use. And what's interesting about it is if you pick one, like another one will actually be different depending on what it is. Like if you pick like the ground move over here, the bomb move might actually be different, or you might only use it in the air or something like that. Like, oh, that's a pretty cool, interesting little thing to do. So I was like, oh, alright, cool. Introduce a strategy so you can, mix it up a little bit. And each person's actual moveset, it can be, there's usually certain like similarities, but there are a bunch of differences, which when I think about it, it's actually a bit more like intricate and very simple at the same time. You're surprised to see how many things these guys can actually kind of do. It's also very simple, so it's not like the same kind of like, it's not like a Skullgirls or a Street Fighter. There's no like half circle, quarter turn things here to get this effect kind of deal. So again, it's far more simple than that, but you can see how many things these guys can do. It's actually more complicated than you give it credit for. So again, pleasant surprise. And moving forward with the combat, each person can guard. Like I think it was like the L button on the Game Boy. You can guard from any attack and keep pressing it, and you can heal. And it also charges that little green bar on the bottom of your health gauge, which when full, you start flashing. And if you hit someone with one of your special attacks, it will instantly KO them from full to, dead and immediately. There is no ifs, ands, or buts about it. Unless they're like immune, because they had this really weird system, which I didn't understand immediately when I was a kid, because it was kind of weird, where if you, let's say, like use your ground special or power move or whatever on them before, they might actually be immune to it, not necessarily. Like, if I don't know what factors go into it, I still don't know to this day. They might actually be immune to it, so when you hit it, they'll like immediately have like some guard. They'll like stun. They'll like be stunned for a second because they're walking through an attack, but they're not going to really stop. They're not going to take any damage. Like a craps and artist, which up to like my aerial attack or whatever, and then that will deal them damage. Which, when I was a kid, got me into this rhythm of picking one good gun with one good aerial, so I can just switch between the two of them. Which in that hence why simplicity. It isn't some complicated do this if this doesn't work kind of deal. It's if ground move doesn't work, use aerial. If aerial doesn't, you can use a ground move and see what works. If you can charge up your like green bar all the way to max, hit them. Speaking of which, the health bars are all like the same size, and it's pretty simple to take them down from full to zero. It's not that hard, but ultimately it's still very fun. You can enter a pretty decent challenge when I was a kid, so I was pleasantly surprised. Speaking of pleasant surprises, one of my favorite things to do is if you can like knock the opponent away right with any one of these moves, then you can like jump, you could like chase after them and hit them back down. And I thought that was one of the more anime, like really cool things you could really do in that game. And even to this day, there's a small bit of satisfaction I get out of doing that because the way that it looks, it sounds like it's impacting the ground. Like, yeah, but it was just kind of fun to do. I mean, on to the actual story of the game, which is like broken up into like different, I think, 6 or 7 episodes, starting with Sonic. It was something I didn't expect as a kid because most of the story modes I've actually played up until that point were always from one continuous thing. They were broken up into different episodic little mini-sodes of the greater overarching story. I think it was like Sonic, Tails, and Knuckles, Amy, Rouge, Cream, Shadow, if I'm not mistaken. I don't think Gamma got one, but I don't remember. But at any rate, the story revolves around this orange robot, Emerald, as he will be called by Sonic. And Sonic finds this robot, she shows him his power, and it kind of like imprints upon him, so it begins to follow him around, does what he says, it begins to fight him. Right, fight with him, fight him, training and whatnot. Or Tails is supposed to fight the like silver versions of himself, which they were like, where did these guys come from? Because he wanted to see what this robot was about to take it to Tails. He's really smart. I don't know about this mechanic stuff. Like these guys, and they find out Emerald can actually copy their movements and learn and stuff. Like, oh, this is pretty cool. A robot that can copy other people's abilities. Nice. Getting some definite Mega Man vibes from this. After their confrontation at Tails' lab, they go over to his house. There they encounter Shadow, and Shadow there's a choice, quote unquote. Like, Shadow's like, give me, Emerald and whatnot. And then Sonic, you can pick no. He's like, no way. You can pick yes. He's like, did you really think I'd give it to you? Either way, you have to fight him. Which I'm like, cool, because most of these earlier parts you play as, like, Sonic. Because, them being honest, Emerald's kind of crap. Is very crap in the beginning. He's super slow. He's just can't fight to save his life. I guess that's the point. He just kind of like sort of truly woke up. And now he's like, he's kind of sort of groggy. He's trying to get, back into the swing of things. So he printed on the first person that could, show him their power. And now he's just like using a very, very watered down version of their moveset. Which, for I think a lot of people, but to me, didn't make me want to use Emerald, or at the very least, he got a decent running skill. Speaking of skills, since he said he can actually copy their moves. If you press and the overworld, press R, you can actually go into Emerald's like memory and like pick which moves that he can use, equipping them. All like the moves you've copied throughout the entirety of the game, the story mode and whatnot. Which I had so much fun with this. It was just like I could just pick a combination of Sonic's moves and Shadow's moves, or Tails, or Cream, or Amy. I just picked, got obviously which one within reason, because it's like a memory limit, as not to just be completely broken. There's a memory limit, so you couldn't just put all of these high level skills just on the guy at once for just balancing purposes. But considering what else you can do in that game, I feel like later on, like the ultimate skills or those secret, like put in the code, skills, where you get the very ends of the game. I don't know about they even bothered with any pretense of limits or bounds, because those things are just busted. But whatever. Because after they go to Tails' house, they go to Mystic Ruins, confront Knuckles, fight Knuckles for some stupid reason, because they gotta fight Knuckles, because Knuckles is a very gullible, not very bright person. And that's where his about ends. Tails is more so trying to get information on Emerald, and to me, not a lot was really memorable about Tails' story, beyond the fact that, again, it was the whole like sidekick to hero, boy to man kind of deal, because it kind of culminated him eventually fighting Shadow. Like, what, Tails fighting Shadow by himself? That's not gonna happen. There's no way he's fast enough or strong to fight Shadow. He's just gonna lose. But it was more so about a growth. That he's like, no, I'm not just going to stand down. If you want him, you gotta earn it. I'm not just going to give him up to you because Sonic isn't him. I'm not just going to not fight. He fights and you actually win. Of course, it's real that Shadow had some kind of injury, so he wasn't at full strength. But the fact that you still fought Shadow and you won, weakened or not, he still accepted the fight. So that's just a blemish on his record, if you want to call it that. Even though I think losing to a guy as smart as Tails isn't exactly a blemish. It's just another loss, really. With all like these stories, at like the end of them, the Emerald gets like a Chaos Emerald or so, and each time he gets a Chaos Emerald, his skill point increased by, I think, 10, and he becomes more and more like smarter, more aware, more awake, and he can actually begin to learning how to talk and respond, not just be like dot or speaking like a broken insert language of your choice here, which is why they call him Emerald, because he absorbs Chaos Emeralds, which as soon as I started seeing that, I'm like, that can't stand. And then, because the Chaos Emeralds are the main plot MacGuffin of the whole series, that they're not going to stay inside the robot forever. Something's going to have to give. Knuckles is just more so than just looking for Emerald shards, because some of the Chaos Emeralds are broken up into shards. So without their story, you have to beat the robots, which are called fire robots. I don't remember how to pronounce that Greek, and I apologize. And take back the Emerald shards, because they're just great copies of Emerald that Eggman made because he couldn't get the original Emerald to actually work. Each one has a singular moveset of some character in the game, like Knuckles, Rouge, Omega, Sonic, Shadow, etc. Which that's pretty cool. I don't know how we got their combat data, but that's pretty cool. So yeah. I think I do remember in Knuckles' story, which was pretty early on, I didn't have a lot of skills at this time. That Knuckles gets paralyzed or hurt, right? So you're using Emerald, and at the time, the first time I did Emerald, which wasn't very good, so it was just very hard for me to get past this point, and I'm just I hated every second of it. It was one of those deals where I'm because I was a kind of a dumb kid at the time, because I didn't think of maybe going back to a previous episode, getting more skills coming back, since they just saved the ones, and then fighting with Knuckles. No, I was actually wanting to keep moving forward, so it was hammer meets end. I'm just gonna keep hitting my wall, head against this wall. Something's gonna give. I'm ahead of the wall, and I'm willing to bet it's the wall. So not the smartest idea in the whole world, but hey, you live and learn, right? And I do like the interactions with Rouge, with Knuckles, because I've always been, I think a lot of people, myself included, have always been a fan of the whole Knuckles x Rouge kind of storyline plotline, which they kind of sort of dropped at this point, which makes me a little sad, but oh well. But the next story was Amy's, if I'm not mistaken. And hers is just like, it was just, random robot thing, and she gets it in her head that, it's her, like, Sonic is training them because marriage and kids and whatnot. It's not, like, that's not what's going on at all. But again, Jeep follows around Amy in her adventure, and she's boxercising, and she calls when they want to train. I'm like, oh, okay, that's pretty fun, that's cool, what's happening. Hers was one of the more, to me, unmemorable ones. Not that the interesting things didn't happen, but I don't know. I was I'm never a fan of the whole. This person likes this person acts here. This person's like, no, you're just my friend, but this person keeps pushing on, and it's like, and it becomes more of an annoyance. It's like, you're still my friend, but I don't like you in that way. So Amy never really endeared that much onto me personally, and so I just, just never really paid that close attention to like her storyline. I was like, it was just wait. It was something I had to do to get to the next part of the story. Whereas you do meet Cream and Cheese, and they do help you train with your boxercising and whatnot. There were some funny moments, like in the beginning, where Emerald says something, and then then Amy's like, "What did Sonic teach you that?" And Sonic's like, "Why did you do this to me?" And I think, like, standard anime girl fashion, I think she hit Sonic at that point, and then story kind of goes from there. Because she wants to spend time with her kid and all this other stuff. Like, okay, whatever. Again, I was never really endeared that much onto Amy. But I'll tell you, most of it wasn't interesting or fun, and I just didn't know much for her as a character, personally. The same with Cream, only because it was the second time I've truly experienced Cream. The first time was in Sonic Heroes, where she's fighting with her, her Chow. I'm like, okay, cool. And then the second time it was in Sonic Advance 3, and no one had any personality. There was no like actual talking or story in that game. Not really. There was little cutscenes where things you get her in the cyber world, and she's just going for a walk, and it's like, sure, okay, cool, I get it. And this one, out of all of them, she's the one I remember the least, because there wasn't a lot memorable, at least to me, when I was younger, that happened. One thing I will say, was the difference between the Sonic Battle game and the Sonic X anime that did a little parody of this, was that Emerald can't copy two skills at the same time, meaning if Cream and Cheese were to fight him at the same time, he couldn't copy them, he can't only copy one skill at a time. And then we get to Sonic Battle with it. I was like, no, that's not true at all. He can totally do that. And I'm just like, I remember when I was a kid who was looking for like these adaptations from the game into the anime, I was kind of confused. It's even the Sonic Adventure and Sonic Adventure 2 story adaptation of Sonic Battle were more faithful. So I was expecting something more along those lines. Maybe not exactly, but something a bit more along those lines. And then just kind of chucked it out the window as more so like a one-off little bit of a story there. For like, I don't remember how many episodes, and it's like, oh well, that's a little disappointing. But hey, what can you do? I think Rouge is next, or I think it was Amy, then Rouge, then Cream. Oops. Where hers is more like taking Emerald and turning him into like helping her steal stuff, like information secrets, Emerald Charge, that whole standard stuff. She a gun agent, rules, that kind of stuff, which I actually really liked. Rouge's moveset in Sonic Battle was that's kind of very fun. She wasn't the fastest character. I like using fast characters in fighting games. She wasn't the fastest, but no, she was the slowest. Like a lot of the time, the slower ones just don't feel good to me. I get it, you're slow, but you hit hard. I'm like, I'd rather hit not as hard, but move faster. So you're harder for you to hit me and whatnot. But whatever. It's like her drill kick, her like regular just like kick right there, like big one with the green like swish. The drill that she did, the whole like energy ball thing she packed it out. It was just really fun. and Shadow's only be my favorite character. I kind of remember his, well, not one of the greatest ones either, but it was one of those moments, like the Emerald and him had more kind of like a heart-to-heart kind of deal, where they were both a bit, born as weapons to do their creator's, will. And it was one of those moments where it was like being a weapon. Like, actually, this guy, I know it's like it doesn't get any easier. We're born to fight, effectively. And it was just kind of a very poignant thing I got there. I'm like, oh, that's pretty cool. So the Fighting Shadow, obviously one of my favorites. Like, he can like almost fly. He can use a Chaos Burst, which makes him invisible and invincible temporarily, which, if you don't know what to do sometimes, I would just curl up effectively, just think of something, then I would like release and then try something else. Roman Chaos is good. And it was just very, very fun to use him. Yeah, through all these stories, these fighting fire robots getting Chaos Emerald charge, getting Chaos Emeralds, getting strong, getting more intelligence, getting more skills, until eventually it was like he keeps saying something every time. He's like show me power, whatever. So he's basically saying, show me your power, or else I will become the destroyer of all, kind of deal. Like, it was revealed by the end of it that Emerald, also known as the Gazoid, is a robot made like centuries and centuries and centuries ago, right? To effectively be like a world conqueror. It's like, oh yeah, I mean that tracks. He's a robot that can copy any move that your opponent throws at you, then throw it back at them, potentially even more powerful than they threw it than what they had. Yeah, that sounds pretty effective in my opinion. And his final form is perfect Gazoid, or perfect Emerald, or Awakened, depending. Let's have him. You get all 7 Chaos Emeralds, and but like the Emerald story of it all when you go to fight Eggman on the Death Egg, because that's a thing, and I was happy to see that. He gets turned on to like his evil killbot mode, right? And you initially fight Eggman, he turns into killbot, then Sonic fights him, because before that you're just like Emerald storage, really him just going around, and you're free to collect as many skills as you want to, fight them as many times as you want to, everyone get as many skills as you can, and then fight the final boss. Like, he's charging his Death Egg ultimate cannon to win and whatnot. Then something happens, Emerald turns and Sonic has to beat him, and this is where like a lot of even some speed feats from Sonic comes from, because she's like 30 seconds to beat Emerald or something like that. It's something ridiculous, a very short amount of time, and she's so fast, she like just beats him within that amount of time. The Chaos Emeralds are released, and unfortunately Emerald dies. But I kind of expected that, because he had all the Chaos Emeralds in him, so, and that's the primary plot MacGuffin of the series. I expected that in some way, so oh well, QQ. And when I saw Gemerald and Sonic Advance 3 that looked auspicious to like Emerald, I was like, they're like the same robot or a similar one. From what I understand, Gemerald is what Eggman built after Emerald died, taking what was left and making this guy. I think which is the reason why he endeared onto Cream, if I'm not mistaken, or something like that. From the fellow cutscene of Sonic Advance 3, but I'm not talking about that game right now. I will, eventually. Overall, I did really like it. One of my first ones, one of my favorite ones, actually. I constantly go back to it. Admittedly, these only just for like some of like the sound tracks, which I thought were pretty fun. Not all of them, some of them are pretty bland and pretty generic. I didn't much care for it. But I did like those novelty of a Sonic fighting game. Obviously, favorite character to use overall is Shadow, because yeah, Emerald can get pretty broken. Not the most overpowered character like in the entire game, obviously, but I still prefer Shadow. I don't know. Yeah, it's just because I remember I started playing it for like hours and hours, just trying to get all the skills, which is kind of hard if you don't have any uh, friends to play it with. Who I like a lot of these games like Pokemon and whatnot. You need friends to play with you to get everything, or to get things you didn't have. Whoops, you didn't have them. And in the Emerald Store, like I said, if you go to like the Sega billboard in like the central city part of like the map of it, and like tap on that or whatnot, you get into like a code. For many years, I had no idea what that did. No codes, no nothing. But I kind of dropped it, trying to get those ultimate Emerald skills and the rare skills and whatnot. It wasn't for like until I was in high school that I finally saw that, oh, well, I'm like, oh, that's what the things are for. So I put in the code and I got all of them, which are just like, you get the like Sonic question mark, right? You put in, I forget which one, and then when you use it, it does like all like this regular like attack moves, but all at once, and then it just like drains your opponent's health, instant KO, instant death. And they can't defend against it. You know how I said they could temporarily become invincible from one of your attacks? That doesn't happen here. They just lose. So most broken and overpowered. And then there are his ultimate skills, which are just better, stronger versions of Sonic skills. We actually see ultimate skills in the final battle against Sonic. And yeah. And that's really all I really have to say about Sonic Battle. It was a fun game. I think it's a bit of a, I don't want to say diamond in the rough, but it definitely is, in my opinion, overlooked. We don't really hear it said a lot. Okay, so thank you for watching, and I will see you all next time.